Hi, I'm here with Assaf Natazon, who is the Chief Technology Officer of RecoverPoint and vPlex products. I'm pretty soon going to start talking to him, but as you can see, there are plenty of people around at VMworld right now. We are close to the... And let's begin with asking the very first one. The big thing, what is Project Mercury and how is it going to change the data protection landscape?
So Project Mercury is a new product by RecoverPoint. It's RecoverPoint for virtual machine. It's a fully virtualized solution which replicates virtual machines at the single virtual machine level. Unlike previous solutions which work at the LAN level or data store level, this is a solution which is completely storage agnostic and works for any virtual machine running under VMware. The solution is based on the very well-known RecoverPoint code base, which runs at over 5,000 customers, and they have over 100 million operational working hours. So let's talk a little bit of detail about Project Mercury. You mentioned that it is data protection for virtual machines. Can you be a little more descriptive? So how is it really going to work? Today you had the VRP, like you started VRPA last year, and there were the traditional RecoverPoint appliances before that. So what's the difference between those products and Project Mercury? Okay, so Project Mercury is a completely new product. It has three components. It has the virtual appliance, which is a virtual machine running the RecoverPoint appliance code. It has a splitter which runs at the hypervisor level, at the E6 level. And it has a virtual center plugin which manages the protection. And basically, once you have all of them installed, in order to protect the virtual machine, you just have to right-click it, and then you go through a very simple menu where you select the target of the protection and the data store where you want the replica VM to be stored. And basically, that's it, and you have your virtual machine protected. So that's cool. In the sense of data protection, then I'm assuming you don't have to protect block level LAN or data stores anymore, then, because this splitter is at a hypervisor level. Right, exactly. What we are protecting now is virtual machines. You can protect a single virtual machine and failover at the virtual machine level. Of course, you have the consistency group of RecoverPoint, which allows you to group multiple virtual machines and replicate a virtual application together as a single entity and failover and fail back at this level. But you're no longer dependent of LANs. You're not even aware that LANs exist. It also works over NAS and any other solution in DAS, because basically we work at the hypervisor level and we are able to replicate virtual machine disks and virtual machines. So what's your role and innovation in Project Mercury? So as the CTO of RecoverPoint, I've been actively pushing RecoverPoint to move to being a software-defined solution in the last couple of years. In the last couple of years, I've led several proof of concepts which enabled the technology. And in the last 18 months, we've been actively working on the project in order to deliver Project Mercury as a software-defined replication solution. So it is well known that the IT trend is to go to software-defined software, and Mercury is a great example in this direction of completely software-defined data protection and replication. We are looking into delivering data protection both to traditional IT and to service providers, and Project Mercury will enable all of those. Great. And in terms of defining the requirements and getting feedback from EMC customers as to what should go into the product, how did you go about doing that? So basically, we have discussed with a lot of customers in customer taps, and we've met with a lot of service providers to really understand what are the requirements and what's needed from a software-defined solution, and we've been adding all those things into Project Mercury, into the future roadmap of the project. Thank you. So having Project Mercury as a software-defined product, is the focus more on simplifying IT, or is it more about getting the data protection job done? So I think we focus on both of them. We want IT as simple as possible. We want it to be cloud ready. So basically, cloud providers will be able to give a catalog to the user, which will enable them to replicate with a single click of a button. And still, we would like to have all the RecoverPoint abilities and availability, so that the customer gets all the service he needs at a single simple click of a button.
Well, I have personally been a user of RecoverPoint. I still am. And I can tell you it's a very stable product, so I'm personally very excited to learn about Project Mercury. Would you be able to list, I know there's a lot of information that is not out there yet and it will be formally announced, but would you be able to list a couple of features that are different specifically from the hardware appliances?
Yeah, so first of all, everything is controlled from a virtual center. We have a virtual center plugin, and basically when you right-click on a virtual machine, you can see the RecoverPoint plugin and just configure the virtual machine for replication. You just select which cluster to use for replication. You select the remote data store. The remote virtual machine can be automatically configured, so you don't have to pre-configure everything on the replica side. You just select the data store and say that you want this virtual machine replicated, and everything is within a single click of a button. You don't need to configure storage. You don't need to configure everything. So it's much more simple than traditional solution.
Well, yeah, that looks like a lot more simple if all you have to do is right-click the VM and say protect once you've configured it. So that's a very easy way of kind of enabling your data protection mechanism.
Right.
So I have one final question for you, and I think this is very relevant and important from a user standpoint, especially VMware customers. So if there are existing VMware customers who have spent their dollars on the SRM product and are close to renewal or are looking to change their strategy, how does Project Mercury integrate with SRM, or is it a separate product?
So Project Mercury is a separate product. We have our own management of the recovery, and you can define the recovery plans and do failover and recovery for a single VM or for a vApp or for multiple VM together from the Mercury plugin itself.
So it replaces SRM?
It does.
Good. So no longer do you have to have block level protection or different plans, and all you have to do is just protect at a VM level. And you can essentially save on data store space also, because earlier you had to create different consistency groups for different applications and other things.
Indeed. If you have a data store, you don't have to replicate all the virtual machines in the data store, only the virtual machines that you care about. And again, all the failover and the control mechanism are at a single VM level. Of course, with the RecoverPoint consistency group, you are able to protect multiple VM in a consistency group, and then the failover mechanism will be at the vApp level. So you get all the RecoverPoint functionality, but the control it at the single virtual machine level and not at the data store level, which makes your life much easier.
Thank you very much, Assaf, for taking the time to talk to me today. And I really appreciate that you shared these important details. I'm sure people who are watching or reading this blog post will also love to get the kind of details that you provided us. And we all look forward eagerly to this product.
Thank you very much, Anil. It's been a pleasure.